Okay, let's get the show started.
Yeah.
Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 147. I'm Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch, mostly playing World of Warcraft, sometimes other games as well. I'm big on collections. I love collections, collecting any kind of those kind of things in the game, which as you guys know is there in almost every aspect of the game. There's mounts, there's pets, there's achievements, there's all sorts of things. Today we are gonna talk about Battle for Azeroth pre-order and other things related to that. There's lots of data mine stuff which is not in the game yet. There's lots of things which are in the game already. Lots of stuff. Before, you know what, let's just get started. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I am the site director for Wowhead. I manage all of the operations on the site, the news, the guides, what sort of features the devs make, how the data mining should be presented. And this is like our biggest show ever, I think, because we've got the pre-purchase for Battle for Azeroth, we've got allied races, and then we have a whole ton of alpha data mining ranging from new allied races in the dressing room to spell changes to like hundreds of new models, literally. So before we start, just one note, we have a giveaway. The keyword to enter in Twitch chat is allies, ALLIES. And if the winner's from an A, you get a race change code, and if they're from EU, you get an Iron Sky Reaver. So yeah, let's get started with the very first thing.
Let's jump straight into it. So, first things first, Battle for Azeroth pre-order. As you guys know, Battle for Azeroth pre-order went live, or was officially announced properly, on the day of the Q&A that was taking place on Tuesday, I believe, so it's been 2 or 3 days now.
Yeah, 48 hours or so.
Yes. So in terms of prices in dollars, we have the regular at $50 and the deluxe edition at $70. We're going to go into what kind of goodies that you get for deciding to purchase the digital edition. I can also quickly just mention the prices for EU.
Oh yeah,
people buy in euros. God, I have so much stuff in my head. I can't think properly. Sorry guys, I'm like super excited. The prices in euros are 45 and 60, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And before we jump into the digital deluxe, I wanted to point one thing out, which was that on the shop page, Blizzard is obligated to give an estimate when the game will go live. And they basically said that Battle for Azeroth will be released on or before September 21st, 2018, which is a fancy way of saying the game will ship before the end of quarter 3 in the fiscal year. Yeah, we have around, I don't know, 6-7 months. That's not too much time. So yeah, I'm fall release, it looks like. So yeah.
Don't explode any. You know, I am literally exploding with information right here. But yeah, let's keep on going. So we got the digital deluxe rewards. As you guys might remember from the previous episode, we had those little icons that were showing the mounts and the total pet. Well, now we've got proper pictures of them. So they're right here. We got the Seabraid Stallion at the top there, we got the Gilded Ravasaur in the middle, and we got the Total Pet at the bottom.
And currently the Seabraid Stallion, I believe, is meant to be an Alliance-only mount, and the Gilded Ravasaur is meant to be a Horde-only mount. Apparently, if you manually summon them, you can load them on the other factions, but that's probably going to be hot fix, because it would be, with all the faction war, it doesn't make sense if, you know, an Alliance could be using a dinosaur and vice versa.
I actually mentioned this in my stream, like, should I mention this in the Wowhead show? And they're like, no, don't do it. We don't want them to fix it. But it's, apparently someone is saying that it was hotfixed already. That's
okay, well, there we go.
There you go. See, it was not our fault. Perk, we're safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of more digital deluxe rewards, we also, as usual, have some goodies in the other Blizzard games. I'm going to show right here. We've got the Overwatch, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and the StarCraft. Do you want to go into the details of exactly what they are?
So for Overwatch, there are new Horde and Alliance themed voice lines. There are emotes for Tracer, Anduin, Jaina. Emotes for Tracer. comma. Then there are sprays for showing Anduin, Jaina, Sylvanas, and Sourfang. And then there are Kultiran and Zandalari player icons. For Hearthstone, there is an Azeroth is Burning animated card back. For StarCraft, there are new Alliance and Horde sprays. And the Heroes of the Storm mount only shows an orange Primal Flamesaber mount, which is like the WoW. So you got a Primal Flamesaber for doing something in WoW if you did Heroes of the Storm stuff, and now it's like Inception because now that mount is in Heroes of the Storm. Mm-hmm. And there are other color variations called green, white, and toast. So 3 different color options for Heroes of the Storm. And we don't know anything about Diablo yet, so hopefully they'll include something for Legion. They had a Demon Hunter transmog in Diablo.
I think we also felt like Diablo was kind of lacking last BlizzCon as well. So it's it's kind of sad for Diablo fans to see that happening. But who knows? Maybe there are some Diablo plans.
Maybe they'll give you like an Alliance or Horde banner, or I don't know, like Anduin's shield and Sylvanas' bow, something like that.
Yeah. Let's not forget about Diablo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, as part of this big reveal, Blizzard updated their press kit with more images, and they revealed the box art along with new wallpapers showing off the Alliance and Horde during the battle for Lordaeron, and they're super cool. And the box art is a throwback to, the classic Warcraft RTS games of the Alliance and Horde, warriors glaring at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can download these for yourself. I think they're on the Battle for Azeroth page as well as the Blizzard press kit page in a variety of dimensions.
I actually love these arts. They're amazing. And I like how they have the art version for both the Horde and then like a similar one but for the Alliance themed.
I'm really happy that the shaman casting lightning bolt is in the Horde one because it kind of became a meme.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh, he was in the Seething Shore battle, background, and then they removed him, and oh look, now he's in an even better wallpaper. So,
Zappy Boys back, boys.
Yep. So
I actually didn't notice that. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, so some more Battle for Azeroth good stuff. As you guys may have noticed, and as many people guessed, there was a character boost available with the pre-order. So in the past, what we had was you would be able to boost your character to the appropriate level to start the content of that expansion. So as people guessed, the character boost for this expansion, or for Battle for Azeroth expansion, is 110, which is currently max level, but will become the entry level into the expansion.
Yeah. So a quick note before we get into what your boosted character actually starts with. You can boost an allied race, but first you must meet the unlock requirements. And as a reminder, if you boost the allied race, you will get a warning notice that you cannot get the heritage armor if you boost them. So that's that special cosmetic set of armor, which we'll discuss when we get to allied races.
Mm-hmm.
Just covering a few of what the boosted characters get. You get a Hearthstone set to Dalaran. You get 3 item level 870 relics. You get the Flight Master whistle that teleports you to the closest Flight Master. And then you get a Kirin supply bag, which has a bunch of stuff like the thing where you get ancient mana in Suramar, the Tome of the Tranquil Mind, healing potions, and a starter amount of ancient mana and 500 gold. Now, when you select your talents, when you select the spec on the character creation screen, you will then get that artifact at 35 traits when you log in. Blizzard just tweeted that there is a known bug where you couldn't get other artifact quests, and they're working on fixing that.
Someone mentioned this, and it might be relevant for some of you guys as well, that when you choose a spec, it does mean that you cannot play the quest that actually introduces that artifact weapon. So if you want to play, a warrior, and you're really interested in the quest that introduces the artifact for the tank, what you could do is then choose Fury or Arms, so that artifact weapon is unlocked automatically, and then you could do the quest for the one that interests you.
Yeah.
Just a small kind of note.
You could do the quest when Blizzard fixes it.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
You're not like, oh, I'm gonna get my prot thing. Oh no, I can't. So,
I had someone who mentioned to me that they were upset that they weren't able to do the quest anymore because the weapon was just given to them. So I
That's
mean, it
actually
makes
really
sense though.
interesting. Like, I mean, so much of like the lore is interconnected that it is really strange that if you boost a character, you can't do that introductory content, especially for the specs that take
Yeah.
you to the same zone, like the Vengeance Demon Hunter and like the Ret Paladin, how they both, are related to Tyrion. So yeah, I think it would be cool if Blizzard could let you go back and replay that quest. Just because
Yeah.
I think it adds some context. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But,
So we
but at
also
the same time, it does make sense as well that you, of course, have the artifact stuff done because the point is that
right.
it introduces you into the new expansion. So it would be
Yeah.
strange if they don't give you the artifact weapon, which you're supposed to have at like what is it,
Yeah.
level 100. So
I
it
see
makes
that.
sense. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
just
it would
like
be
the
nice to be able to
place.
go back and do the
Yeah,
quests at least.
yeah. So this is a welcome bit of news. 4 extra character slots per server went live on Wednesday. This does not require pre-purchase of Battle for Azeroth. You just have to restart WoW to pick up the update, and you can now create up to 16 characters per server. But the character cap across your region remains the same at 50.
Hmm.
So this is meant to help players that have all their mains on one server and then want to make an allied race of each type.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
We had some people who were thinking that this does mean that you get an overall like increase of characters. I had someone who mentioned to me like, yes, now I've got 54 characters to go for
Oh.
the what's it called, the love rocket. But no, that is not the
Nope.
case. It is still
Nope.
max 50.
Yep.
But
So
yeah,
yes,
it's a nice little added bonus. Well, it kind of makes sense as well that it's a part of the sort of core of the game itself, that it doesn't require you to pre-order to get this. It's just automatically into the game.
yeah, that is really nice.
Yeah,
So speaking of allied races,
people's favorite topic.
yeah, you want to introduce the topic or should
No,
I?
you go for it. You go for
Okay.
it.
So allied races are one of the pre-order perks for Battle for Azeroth for both standard and the digital editions, and this basically means that if you meet certain unlock requirements for the allied race, you can complete a special scenario that rewards a mount and explains why an allied race joins a faction, and then you can create the allied race, which starts at level 20. So I know there's some confusion where people that maybe weren't playing regularly were like, oh, like, I bought the expansion, like, where's my allied race? So we just want to go over kind of all the requirements and all the steps in order, because it kind of might be overwhelming in game if you took a break and now you're like, I don't know how to get the allied race, like
Yeah.
where's the quest, like where's my option. So allied race can be created first if you pre-purchase Battle for Azeroth, and then you still have these unlock requirements, and I'll run through them quickly. So for the Nightborn, you must be exalted with the Nightfallen and complete the Insurrection achievement. For Void Elves, you need exalted with Argusian Reach and completion of You Are Not Prepared. For the Lightforged Draenei, you need exalted with Army of the Light and completion of You Are Not Prepared. And for the Tauren, you need exalted with High Mountain Tribe and completion of Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And progress on these requirements is account-wide and not limited to a faction. So if you have a Horde character, you could have like Argusian Reach exalted and You Are Not Prepared, and then you could just do the recruitment scenario on your Alliance 110 and get your Void Elf. And if you've taken a break from the game, they did make Argusian Reach and Army of the Light easier to get. Like quests give more rep. Like the weekly quests give you 1,000 rep instead of 250, and I think the rep tokens give you like 250 instead of 75. So yeah, and of course Wowhead has tons of guides to these as well as the attunement tracker where you can just like type in your character and it tells you how close you are to getting these things done.
And there might even be more ways of increasing the reputation coming as the expansion gets closer. There might even be more ways. Probably, I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's a good time to look into the allied race that you're interested in and start working on the reputation that's required.
Yeah. So then the next thing is once you get those requirements done, you can go to your embassy in either Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and then there's a special recruitment quest you can do on a level 110. And this sets up the lore as to how you convince the race to join the Alliance or the Horde. And previously we shared some cutscenes related and talked about some data mine text, but now we have all the full scenarios up on Wowhead's YouTube. So if you haven't done the requirements yet, you can still check out the whole story, and I think that there's a cat.
I was just gonna say. I see a cattail.
No, don't go on the keyboard. And when you complete that on your 110 as a reward, you get a special mount, which is not locked to the allied race. You can use it on any character of that faction. And the Nightborn have a Mana Saber, the Tauren have a Moose, the Lightforged Draenei have a Holy Elec, and the Void Elves have one of the, why am I blanking on what it's called? They have like a Void-themed Hawkstrider. So I think we've talked a bit about what we thought of all the unlock scenarios based on the data mining and the cutscenes. I don't know if there's any more thoughts on them, but I think that experiencing the Lightforged one especially adds more depth to it than what the data mined text conveyed. Because it's like this very scary looking scenario where the NPC is sort of like he's not talking, but he's sort of reacting to everything being creepy around him and sort of an alternate reality. So I think that that adds a lot to it.
Yeah, I agree. I also felt like when I was playing that and reading through it again, I actually watched it again. There was a lot more to it than what we had seen in the data mine stuff, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
I also feel the visuals for the High Mountain Torn are interesting because it's like, oh shit, there's like old gods and there's like purple evil things going around, and you really get that visual impact that you don't get just reading the quest text.
Yeah, I actually so I unlocked the races for Alliance, but I haven't done them for Horde yet. So I hadn't played the High Mountain Tauren or the Nightborn. So watching the scenarios like from a sort of outside point of view was really interesting. Just watching like the dialogues and everything was really interesting.
Yeah. So once you do all that, then you finally create the allied race. And they start... What?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you mentioned it, but just wanted to mention in terms of the requirements. So the reputation is not required on the faction that you're specifically interested in, right?
Exactly.
So you can get the reputation on any character, and that's fine. You've unlocked it. You are now able to start the quest line for it. However, if you're interested in the Alliance allied races, you do have to have an Alliance character that is max level, because that is the only way for you to pick up the quest, which takes you through the different steps and scenario to unlock the allied race. So there has been a lot of questions on that, like, do I really need a max level Alliance to play a Void Elf?
Yeah.
You do.
So yeah, just a practical example. So your Horde gets exalted with Argusian Reach. Your Horde that's like item level 950. And then your Alliance character that's like friendly with Argusian Reach and item level 900 can then do the little recruitment thing to get the mount. If you have the Alliance character level like 95, then sorry, you can't do it.
Yeah. And then one option is then if you're interested and don't have anything to use your boost on, is to use your boost on the opposite faction in order to have a high level character over there. So that's one option to sort of fix it without having to spend time leveling.
Yeah. Another note I didn't put in the notes that I wanted to mention is that when you create your allied race, I believe one of the first quests is one that introduces you to the faction leader, and then you get a tabard, which matches the heritage armor perfectly. So you get like the little taste of the transmog at 20, and then the remaining armor set at 110 if you level it fully. We wanted to highlight a few of the cool things that the Void Elves specifically had. One cool thing is that you can talk to the Blood Elves cross-faction in Thalassian, because as we know,
really cool.
The Void Elves, they were exiled from Silvermoon for dabbling in the Void. So they are a group specifically of Blood Elves. And we checked, and the Nightborn and Night Elves do not have that, because the Night Elf language is Darnassian, and then the Nightborn language is Shalassian. So I guess the Nightborn have like a different, maybe more snooty dialect, so they can't talk to each other. And then this was cool, which we saw on Reddit. If a Void Elf is damaged, instead of having the red blood bleeding effect, their blood is purple. And like all the races are pretty much red, I think, except for Draenei, which are blue. And this was also cool. We data mined a while back some text implying that the Alliance didn't really like the Void Elves. And we learned if you go into the Cathedral of Light and Stormwind, it triggers the dialogue where people are not happy to see the Void Elves and wish they would leave. And there's even more text that we haven't found NPCs for, so maybe there's more fun interactions we haven't found yet. So please let us know if any NPCs in the world are unusually rude to your Void Elf.
Yeah, please let us know. I remember I created a Void Elf myself, and I was walking around in the Cathedral of Light because, you know, we had talked about this on Wowhead and had some data mine dialogues, so I was very curious to see if I could find them. I found like maybe 3 or 4, but there's definitely more, so that was really interesting.
Yeah. Also, just as a reminder, if you aren't sure what spec is best for leveling, or if you want to level quickly and want to know like which zone is the most efficient, we put together a guide specifically for the allied races, going over what we thought were the best specs and what abilities you start with, as well as new leveling class guides that explain like the rotation you should use and talents you should pick up before you fully have your entire toolkit. And we also went over efficient leveling zones, as well as, you know, if zones you might care about if you want to learn more about the lore. So, for example, with Void Elves, we're like, hey, you know, it might be faster to level in this zone, but you can learn about the old gods and, like, the Twilight cultists and the Void Lords if you go in, you know, Twilight Highlands or, you know, this quest in Outlands, etc. So hopefully people find those guides useful. We really rushed to get them done in spite of beta, you know, alpha, whatever it is, hitting around the same time.
Yeah, Wowhead, you guys have been absolutely crazy with the amount of information that you guys have packed in a week, and just having these highlights from the show today should maybe hopefully give you guys a kind of an idea of how much it actually is. I knew it was a lot, and I was still shocked when I saw all this, so it's a lot of stuff. And also, speaking of leveling, something that I noticed, or something that I was kind of told and tried out myself, is that boosting low levels through dungeons is now super effective. So if you start a Void Elf at level 20, and if you have a high level who can run you through stockades, for example, it's really fast, it's a good amount of experience, and because of the scaling, you can actually continue doing that for more than just, you know, 2 or 3 levels. So
interesting. I should put that in the guide as a note. I noted that I heard that so, like, some of the zones that were previously for low levels, like maybe the level 10 range, usually those zones are, like, less advanced than something like, you know, Winter Spring or Bashir, places that assume you know your way around and can travel, and the quests are more complex. So, something like Loch Modan or, like, Westfall or Duskwood, the travel time is faster because everything's really compact and it's pretty... The stories are simpler, so it's like, oh, you know, well, just you know, go from formerly low-level area to formerly low-level area. So, like, do the Dwarf starting area, do the Stormwind starting area. But yeah, the dungeon tip is a good idea. I will try to edit those guides when I have a minute on that.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was just something that we tried out at the very end of my stream, and so Stockades was really great for, you know, characters that you've just made, so level 20, and then we also tried some Hellfire Ramparts at level 60, all the way up to level 70, and it took like, I don't know, maybe like half an hour or something. It was really fast to, because it was like almost a level per run, and one run was really, really fast, especially if you have like a druid or something that can run fast. I'm not sure if these dungeons are supposed to give that much experience, but the experience is good on top of the fact that the dungeon scales, so the experience doesn't like decrease with the levels. So it's currently pretty good, apparently.
One more quick note about allied races before we go into interesting things we learned from interviews. Allied races have unique racial traits, and we made little videos of the ones that had the most interesting spell effects, And a particular note, the Void Elves were the most distinctive. One is Spatial Drift. This was nerfed several times over PTR data mining, so currently it's a 30-yard range, 3-minute cooldown. It transports you to the targeted location, but it's not exactly like a Mage Blink. And the other one, which looks very cool, is Entropic Embrace, which is your abilities have a chance to empower you with the essence of the Void. And people are like, oh, that sounds cool. Well, how much does it proc? You know, how much damage does it do? And every ability has a 33% chance to proc Entropic Embrace, which then increases your damage and healing by 5% for 12 seconds. And then that effect has a 60-second internal cooldown, and it does not increase damage dealt by pets and guardians. And it looks really cool, like you sort of have this blue-purple explosion, and then you turn sort of like into a blueberry for 12 seconds, and we have a video up of that. So that's definitely the coolest, but Nightborne have something that puts a book in front of them. That's a mailbox.
Pretty useful, actually.
Yeah, so really awesome book. Lightforge have some cool light explosions.
I can show the video that I have of the.
Yeah, why don't we do Void Elves quickly? That one, that was the coolest.
Okay, it seems like it's not playing. Give me a second.
All right.
There we go.
Yay.
So this is the visuals showing the entropic embrace.
Yeah.
It does indeed remind a little bit of the shadow form.
Yeah.
And here we have the spatial rift. Sorry.
I just was saying that I think in the video it shows first on someone not in shadow form and then with shadow form, so it looks even darker and sparklier. So.
But yeah, here in the slow motion, you see how the Void Elf through the ability, or through the, what do you call it? Through the rift, and then a second or two later teleported to it. And Ian actually specified during the Q&A that the rift speed is, I think, very similar to walking speed. So it's not really a way to get out of trouble, but it's a way to sort of start pre-planning, knowing that some kind of trouble will be there. Then you start casting it. And I noticed when I used it that it's a really long time. It's a really long window of time that you can wait before actually using it. It was something between 5 or 10 seconds, which means it's a pretty long distance that you can cover with that. And I can imagine that being a pretty crucial thing in Arena, especially with PvP.
Right. The Nightborne Racial also is good for PvP, the Arcane Pulse, because it puts this barrier that does AoE and also slows enemies. So it's good if you want to put people in place to attack them, but also prevent people from running away.
Yeah.
We also, Wowhead had an interview with some people at Blizzard, and some other websites and influencers also did as well. We learned a lot of the basics, such as the allied races were available to play with pre-purchase, but there was also some smaller details that I think got lost in all the hype of Tuesday that we wanted to highlight across everyone that did interviews. I asked, one of the controversial customization options was the moose horns on the High Mountain Tauren, and people thought they looked too silly. And the designers are like, hey, we've got like neon cats. Like, how is that okay? But moose ears are not okay. Then another thing I asked about was the extra heritage armor tints that were data mined for the Lightforged and Nightborne, as well as the Void Elf weapons. These were made for NPCs, but because people really seem to like them, it could be added for players in the future. Just the artist really liked those styles and wanted to sort of, go over the top, making extra colors because they thought it was so cool.
And we have we see an example of a Void Elf using the shield, and I think that could be a sword or a dagger or some kind of one-handed weapon.
Yeah, I think especially for Void Elves, I think it would be really cool because their transmog is so unusual between the wings and how everything sparkles, and it's really hard to find a matching weapon for that. So I'm a fan of having weapons match that.
Yeah, I really hope they do get introduced to players.
We also asked, this is a little out of order, it was also a leveling 735 interview. We asked them what the schedule was with Silithus. They wouldn't give us a direct answer, but said that it's going to be paced. It's going to be more. It might not be every week like patch 7.2, but there's going to be more quests. There's going to be Seething Shore. There's still more of Legion's story to wrap up. We asked them about Dark Iron and Zandalari. I think Ian went over this too. They said coming later in Battle for Azeroth, they have different recruitment requirements. Forbes confirmed that Dark Iron Dwarves can be paladins. I think they typoed it at first and said they couldn't be, so everyone panicked. So just putting the word out, they changed it that it's can. Um, Heritage armor for older races was discussed, but there's nothing really to share now about it. But I think that would be cool. So the older races get, armor they can be proud of too.
Yeah.
Professions are less story driven in Battle for Azeroth, so there's less like I have to do 10 quests in a dungeon to get this kind of meh recipe.
I found the quests really interesting, having like a storyline.
I like the quest too.
Yeah.
I think Blizzard is like sort of revamping the profession, as we'll cover soon. How they're having like a stats, which I think they want it to be less collecting and grinding you have to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the quests felt good, especially if you did them while leveling. But it did feel like not as fun when you were doing professions on alts after they are already max level, and especially there were certain professions that had you go into dungeons several times, so that
like Halls of Power. I think every profession has to go there. So
yeah. So that, I guess that's pretty good news in general, but it was still interesting to have a profession story driven quest line.
And they also said it's not impossible that an allied race could be a demon hunter, but they'd have to figure out the timelines because it has to make sense from a story perspective. So
did you mention the dance emote? I'm not
sure. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So currently the allied races share a dance with sort of their original race. So for example, the Nightborn have the Night Elf dance, the Void Elf have the Blood Elf dance, and there might be a revamp in the future so they have unique dances, but do keep in mind they already have a lot of custom emotes, voiceover lines and customization options. But yeah, I think it would be nice if they had unique dances as well.
Yeah. I actually wasn't aware that they have their own jokes, flirts, and voice lines, so that's a pretty nice bonus.
Yeah, they're really funny. Some of them are like very over the top.
Yeah, I need to listen to them.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So we also had the Battle for Azeroth Q&A with Ian on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to summarize it, or do you want to go back and forth with the notes?
I'm fine with you reading the notes, and then I'll jump in where I feel.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Ian sort of let it slip that orcs from Draenor were an allied race in the future, which was pretty interesting because we data mined a piece of armor called Orc Clan, and it was this like really cool high definition traditional orc armor. So people are excited that maybe, I don't know, Grom will send his people over and we'll have orcs that were, did not drink the blood of Manaroth, that have the brown skin color. So people are really excited about that. Or it could be the Maghari from Nagrand. Maybe they join us. So people are very excited about that. And Blizzard has always hinted there's going to be more allied races. So, maybe this is hype surrounding that. Mm-hmm. We learned that this is good for collectors, that Legion prestige ranks will not reset in Battle for Azeroth. They'll just keep going up and up. And the higher ranks will not continue to have unique things like mounts. It will be more like, I don't know, like an Overwatch, like reward box or something like that, where it's just like a nice perk showing you PvP a lot, but it's not like, well, if you need this battle pet, then you must grind this out forever.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I'm still stuck at really low prestige levels, and it's gonna take a while to get up there. And as a collector, that actually really hurts. So it's good to hear that they're not gonna continue the same kind of model, I guess you could say, in the next expansion.
They are also thinking about heavily revamping the honor talent system. Currently, it has the same UI and setup as the talent system, where you have a row and then there's 3 talents and you choose one. And they'd rather have it be that they just give you a gigantic bucket of maybe 12 talents, and then you pick like 3 that you want from there. As opposed to like, well, you have to pick one out of these 3 and then another one out of, these other 3, etc. RPGs might be 6v6. They're still looking at that. Players were asking about, the Alliance mostly level in Kulturas and the Horde in Zandalar, but there's a lot of story we might miss out on. Is there a way to get context for it? And there's going to be something called a Chapters of War leveling campaign, where you can learn about the other faction's story, which I think is pretty cool. I feel that a flaw, which they acknowledge of 7.2, is that there was so much content, but because it was all class-specific, people didn't really experience the full story. And it would be sad if 50% of the content you just simply didn't know about because it was locked to one faction.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think it'll be really interesting as Alliance to also experience, the content, but from like an Alliance point of view.
Yeah. Good news, weapons will not Titanforge. They could Warforge to +5 or +10. And Blizzard said that the mindset of expecting how frequently something would Titanforge was a little overkill in Legion. So they're trying to make it more rare. And also that the Heart of Azerite pieces will not Titanforge because that will also be confusing if you're choosing between pieces that have different Heart of Azerite talents, but then you have to choose if, one that has worse traits is actually better because the item level is higher, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, he specifically said that they are probably going to be, complicated enough as they are. There's no point adding like, oh wait, is this socket gonna be worth more than this trait versus this 5 item level? So that's good to know. That means that you don't have to worry about Titan or Warforging with those items.
Yeah, they also discussed classes a bit. They went over the, really popular phrase, bring the player, not the class, and they said that, hey, actually sometimes it's okay to bring the class, not the player, and that phrase is always taken out of context. It was specifically related to raiding at the end of Burning Crusade like Sunwell, where buffs were party-wide, and you needed very specific people in certain parties that had certain abilities to buff the other people.
Yeah, like you'd have like a melee group or like a ranged group, and being that extra melee when there's already 5 meant that, well, you can't be in the ranged group, then that buff is not going to help you and you can't bring anything to the group, so we'd rather have a ranged DPS, so sorry, bye.
They were also saying that with too much homogenization between how classes deal damage and how they also have utility, that when you only have a few different flavors, people are going to be pushed to say, oh, well, this spec is the best at a certain type of utility, so we'll just bring this, spec. But if every like class or spec has a certain specialty and there's like, 10 or 20 different specialties, then it's not, comparing, which out of these 10 classes is the best at this one thing. It's like, oh, they're all unique, different things, so we have to vary it up and bring different classes for different situations, or everyone adds something unique and cool to this fight that's not measurable by just, pure DPS. So they're saying that if everyone's the best at a different thing, then it's less, oh, well, you're being sad because, you can do thing A, but, this other class can do thing A way better. It's like, well, you can do A, but someone else can do B, and someone else can do C, etc.
So it's not going to be a comparison of like, wait, his stun lasts a second longer, or like his stun has a shorter cooldown. It's going to be, well, this guy can stun, and this other guy can, I don't know, like remove fear or something.
Exactly.
So more variation in what makes you stick out.
Right. Of course, it's also on Blizzard to come up with the variety of encounters so the different strengths shine. So, and I know they're not going to do this, but it's like if every fight was like Patchwork, obviously whoever could do the single target DPS the best would go to every single fight. So, if they have more variety, then it should keep it interesting and let people shine. There's also a funny Twitch clip where they talked about their perceived top spec, and they said it was Affliction Warlocks, and then Ian had the saying, no king rules forever, so...
Yeah, I'm an Affliction Warlock. I was not happy at the chat's reaction to that. Like, yay, nerf Affliction Warlock. Oh, feels bad, man. But yeah, that was a pretty funny clip.
And they were also talking about spec fantasy and maybe how that went a bit overboard compared to overall class fantasy. And they gave the example that survival hunters felt a little weird that, like, great, you hit 110 and now you forget how to use a bow and you're using this spear. And it didn't totally fit with the vibe of a hunter. And that's one of the specs that will probably get a big rework. They're not going to make every spec have a huge rework, but for the ones that don't really seem to be working currently, they are going to be targeting them. And we've already seen a lot of that in the initial data mining. So this is one of my favorite parts up next. We've got a lot of creature and NPC models, and Annie's been making tons of images and little video clips.
Lots.
So First
Yeah.
up, I think we're gonna share critters that got new high resolution models.
Yeah, so we have got, starting with the cat. At the top there, you see the old model of the cat. Maybe I should even make it a little bit bigger. No, I think that should be okay. So you see the old model at the top, and then you see the more high definition ones there at the bottom with three different variation of colors just as examples. We also got a horse example right here. So you have the old one to the left, and then the more high definition ones to the right. And my last example for now for these is the prairie dog. You see the top one there, and the much better defined and better pictures there at the bottom of them. I think these changes are so good. Like it increases the overall like quality of the game. They're such small things, you know. They're just critters, you know, outside in the world. But having so many models updated makes you feel like, you know, Blizzard actually wants to revamp the whole game, and that's awesome. You know, just modernizing it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it makes the art style more consistent as well. You know, you're
Oh
running
yeah,
around
because
with this
you
high definition armor, and
exactly.
then you buy a pet, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm this little 5 pixel blob.
That happens a lot with transmog. It's like you have this like amazing shoulder, which is, I don't know, maybe like black and like a specific shade of red, and then it fits with another like a weapon, but just because they're from like way different expansions, one of them has 2 pixels, you know. One of them has like 1,000. So it's funny. So at least in the outside world, we can see that more things will be more consistent with each other.
Yeah. We also got a few different
Oh yeah, this one's an
uh,
interesting one, the race.
yeah, so we have a few different races. They're not allied races, but they look really cool, so everyone's hyping like, oh, is this going to be an allied race in the future? So first up we have Tortolan.
Right here.
And
So we see, I actually have an example with the animation showing, so you can see it in action as well. This is the falling animation. And then we also have the whirlwind that I wanted to show as an example. And we also have a bunch of different colors of this. I chose to show the purple, but there's also green, there's let's see, there's red, there's ones without this sort of shiny color there at the back. There's quite a few examples of these that you can find on the Wowhead website.
so the speculation is because they kind of share Pandaran animations that, oh, they could be another neutral race that, you know, they're turtles, they're chill. They can maybe join both factions if they ever became something playable. Also, because the baby battle pet for the collector's edition Toddle is usable by both factions. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just looking to see if there's a dance animation, but I can't find one. Someone just mentioned it. No dance animation as of yet, at least.
Yeah. If you want to check out all the animations, though, there are related Wowhead links. And under each picture in the article, there is a big button being like view in the Wowhead model viewer, and opening that up brings up the model viewer as well as a menu where you can select all of the available animations.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of actually really interesting ones that are just called like Future Patch right now. Some like really interesting summoning and walking animations and all sorts of different things. So, yeah. Another really popular race are the Blood Trolls. These are trolls that you'll be fighting in Zandalar. They get their power from a corrupted Titan monster that they control. And we learn that Princess Talanji of the Zandalar is fighting against them, and she recruits the help of the Gob Squad, who help Vol'jin back in Mist to help push them back. And their story will continue in the Uldir raid, which is the first raid of Battle for Azeroth. And they have pretty distinctive capes and kind of like bathing suit type armor and interesting jewelry and tattoos.
I'm showing a few here in the model viewers
yeah.
as you're speaking.
Yeah. So we've got versions for a Blood Troll caster, and then a Blood Troll melee, and then Blood Troll males, and even some dire female blood elves. Then we've got the Blood God and their Blood Feaster mount, and beasts and larvae, and really cute little pets with gigantic big eyes. So lots of cool things there. Of course, people want to play them, at least get their, you know, different colored red tattoos as options. So Yeah, definitely interested in learning more about them, especially because they've got this old god connection. So,
So
yeah.
I think I accidentally muted myself. So
Oh,
the next topic in line here is for all the animal lovers out there. We got some more insight into horse models.
yeah.
So
So, yeah,
you go for
so
it.
yeah. So there's this new achievement called the Reigning Champion, which is called Score at least 600 points in the Normington Estate Horse Show. And we also know that some of the names of the horse models are like Proudmoore Horse, Waycrest Horse, Stormsong Horse. So this implies that we'll probably get some horses by doing this special race, and maybe if you do better, they can get more points. You can unlock some of the more elaborate horses, that are best in show. And some will maybe also come from getting reputation with various culture and factions if they're named after the various family houses there. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have
You
all
can
sorts
see
of cool things.
you can see in this example here that the horses actually have a sort of flag, which is indicating the Kultiras, and that's where the idea comes from. Just wanted to show that
Yeah.
picture.
Also, even the plain horses have gotten updates, and they look very muscular, like they're on steroids. So, it's like, oh, like old Blanchy is now like, you know, eight
Yeah,
steroid oats and is now 10 times more powerful. So yeah, lots of really interesting horse models. There's even some with like alliance flags and kind of like high elven banners on them, which are super pretty. There are donkeys, there are some with baskets. There's interesting drapery on them. So yeah, I'm not sure if your existing horses will be updated or just the ones in Kulturas will use the new models, but yeah, they do look very cool.
here
Um,
are the examples of
yeah,
the horses that are quotation mark more fancy. They have
yeah.
like different types of saddles, and this one has this blue kind of ribbon around it. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll see where these horses will be.
Yeah. Um, this next race, the Volpera, is I think definitely the most popular
Oh
one we
yes.
highlighted on Wowhead. They're essentially furry goblins. They share a lot of animations with the goblins, and they're super cute. And yeah, they're just really adorable. They're found in Zandalar, and there's some speculation that they could be an allied race. And with how we've seen, the Void Elves join the Alliance, and the Nightborn, the Horde people are like, oh, if they are kind of like goblins, maybe they'd be, joining the Alliance and kind of being a small race with those animations. And they're really cute. There's already tons of them with cool little armor and fun neon earrings and
Yeah,
little like poison things and hoods and backpacks, and they're super cute.
they are really adorable. I'm
Yeah.
showing around some different emotes here for people to see.
Yeah.
Walking as well. And then we can quickly scroll through the different armors as well. We got this armor in green. We got this one with a bit of like no hood, so you see the head better. But yeah, they're really adorable. Oh, this one's got a little backpack. And many more.
Yeah.
There's tons of variations here, actually. Just scrolling through them, it's
I
never
know.
ending.
Yeah.
And here
It's
are the
almost as
male
many
models too.
as the Nightborn, so people are like, oh, well, if they have so much work done on them already, couldn't they, become an allied race? So I think it would be cute, maybe, towards the end of Battle for Azeroth.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like it's allied race bingo whenever there's a new race. People are like, oh, will this be the allied race that's coming? Like, everything can be an allied race now.
Yeah, now that
Possibilities
it's a
endless.
started thing, it's like, new thing introduced. Allied race, is it? Maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another
Uh,
topic that quite a few people actually were asking me, and I actually wasn't very sure myself, the cold Tyran and the thin human bodies, or new human bodies. Do you want to
yeah.
tell us about that, Perk?
Yeah, so these are marked in the data as an NPC race and a player race, which means that they are set up in the future for Blizzard to flip a switch and make into an allied race, but they're not currently. So there's a lot of speculation that if, Horde are getting orcs with brown skin, that maybe the Alliance would get, one of these as a, I don't know, human variation in the future as well. Um, and they are up in Wowhead's dressing room, and they have a fair amount of customization options already. They look very different from regular humans. The female hairstyles in particular are really beautiful. They have these like jeweled clips in their hair and some curly hairstyles we haven't seen before. And we decided to put them in the dressing room so you could play around with them and dress them up just because we think it's fun. And even their armor is unique. Like they have these kind of cool striped undershirt things and interesting like skull necklaces and a lot of cool stuff. I appreciate how there are different body types in WoW. A lot of the human males are like, bodybuilders or, supermodels. So I appreciate, how we've got, like the thin humans and then kind of the super buff humans and then the culture on body model as well.
I noticed there was no female thin human body.
Yeah, I think that could be a sign that maybe thin humans aren't done, or maybe they're not going to be an allied race in the future. Currently, I think the thin humans share a model with undead. Of course, all of this is like in the alpha, so maybe the next build we would see the female thin human. The fact that Kultiran has so many options for both male and female hints strongly that that they could be ready-ish to be an allied race in the future.
Yeah. I just thought I should mention in case there was something that you knew about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that really. Usually for the races that are more minor, like forest trolls or like ice trolls, it's usually just like a male variant. So that's why I think that Kulturin is more important at this point, because they added options, male and female art. And so we also go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say more creatures, more models. There's so much. I'm actually so I'm kind of upset that I can't even show everything, but doing our best to show the most interesting stuff at least. You can go on with what you were gonna say.
Oh yeah. So we have tons of we found models for popular NPCs that got updated. So we have Jaina with a really cool, her Battle for Azeroth look, but also a version with a cloak. We also have Jaina's mother, Catherine Proudmoore. We have Princess Talanji and King Rastakhan, her father, so important Zandalari figures. I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of people have been saying that Talanji kind of looks like a troll Zelda with the way her robes are, like the white with the purple and the gold.
I didn't think about it, but I see it now that you say that.
Yeah.
We've got
an early model of Queen Ashara. Her tentacles aren't fully animated, so she looks kind of funny, but that's cool. And then we also have an updated model of Anduin and Anduin's horse, and of course people are memeing, being like, oh, like Anduin's horse looks like, the light version of Invincible. Like, is Anduin going to become Arthas and get attached to this horse with this gorgeous model?
Perfect timing. The horse is showing right now in the slideshow.
Oh. and
Anduin.
Yeah. We also data mined, I'm going to butcher his name, Buon Samdi, who is an important troll figure that Vol'jin communicated with in the past, and we know that Vol'jin's story is not yet done, so seeing this model's presence is hype that, we could be getting more with Vol'jin's story, since those two NPCs are closely related. This next part is my favorite. So Pepe.
Pepe coming forward.
Yep, Pepe has cool Tiras and Xantalari costumes. So he's got a little nautical diving helmet, and he's got a golden mask with some tusks and feathers.
I actually love the Xandalari one.
I know, he's
that
so
bling
cute.
Looks so cool. Yeah.
Now we just need a little plushie with both options.
Yeah.
He would like that.
There, we're gonna show you with Pepe as well before. There we go. We got you for a second.
Yay!
Yay. But yeah, it's so many new models, and it's really cool that Pepe was also included. I think that makes it awesome.
It's really cool. Like he's been in every Legion patch basically, even in
Yeah.
7 through 5, he's by the Alliance camp in Silithus, as well as in the Dalaran mailroom. So
Mm-hmm.
it's cool he's kind of following us along.
Yeah. Now he's getting new
Um,
masks.
I don't think we have pictures of this, but you should definitely check out the linked post for the Zandalar creatures because there's a lot of dinosaurs, especially dinosaurs with tons of gold bling. And whenever I tweet these out, people like just eat this up. They're like, "Oh my God, it's another dinosaur! It's like a
Mm-hmm.
golden troll priestess. It's a gold dip mummy. It's
I really
people
find
just
the
really like that style."
Yeah, I really find the whole gold bling really interesting. We saw it in the Pepe mask as well. We're seeing it in so many mounts. Even a sense of that with the Horde Collector's Edition mount. There is so much gold. I actually do have a couple pictures here
Oh,
for the. Let me see. As I said that, I lost track of it.
no.
You keep on talking, and I'll see if I can
Okay.
find it.
Yeah, so lots of troll stuff, and it's been pretty popular on social media. We also have images of new
There.
Loa. So, for example, like Tiger Loa and Troll Loa, and the T-Rex Loa that's super gilded and bling. We've got Dire Trolls. We've got Undead Trolls. We've got updated Stegosaurus and Brontosaurus. We've got Trilobites. We have Troll, Lich, even Threshodons. We've got a little Tiki head for the Horde and Alliance. We've got a Titan Keeper Troll, Toad Swamps, Wind Serpents, Sandalari Golems. Lots of awesome troll stuff.
So many dinosaurs and so much bling.
Yep.
Actually,
So
the Brontosaurus picture just came up as you said the word. The
yep.
timing was perfect there. Just wanted to
Hey,
point out how synced that was.
awesome.
We also
Uh,
got some really cute animals to show off.
they
Super
are
cute.
cute.
Yes, right here. I got an image slideshow going. Um, Among these, we've got the baby pig. We got the baby Komodo dragon, the Saurolophus, the demon goat, which is actually showing right now, and baby Brontosaurus.
Yeah. I also want to point out that the cat model, as opposed to being updated, also has versions that are called Large Cat, Shaggy Cat, and Pudgy Cat. So there are cats with different body types, and they are all very cute.
They are.
Uh, yeah.
I actually
So
really
there's
like the
even
demon goat.
yeah, it looks like Argy and except the like little shop goat that is blue.
Hmm.
And it has pretty much the same model except it has like demonic runes on it and a different color scheme.
There it
So
is. So it's like more evil.
yeah. Yeah. So we could go on about this forever, but we
Yeah.
have a bunch of models still that are related to characters and things that characters can equip that we want to highlight as well.
Hopefully this gives an idea of how much there actually is. There's so many updated models. It's actually absolutely crazy.
Yep. So the most important thing is that there are Zandalari Troll Allied Race customization options. These are up in Wowhead's dressing room, and we also have screenshots of all the stuff. And something that's really interesting is the amount of customization options they have. I think they have 8 different things you can customize total, which is more than the Allied races. For example, they have earrings, but they also have accessories, including like the solid gold neck option or
The top right now.
yeah, or like eyebrow piercings in addition to gold, earrings. And they have different blue tattoo options, as well as hair colors, skin colors, earrings, faces, hairstyle, and of course tusks. So you can customize these in Wowhead's dressing room. You can dress them up. And an important difference compared to the regular trolls is that these are upright trolls. So I think
Here,
they're super
I
cool.
sorry. I put the skin together here to change quite frequently. You can see how they're changing
Yeah.
color all the time. There's like tons of different skin colors.
Yeah, and they have different they're not warts, but they have different kind of like pebbles or scales.
Hmm.
I think the face changes the amount of pebbles they have. So um yeah, they look really cool. Also Shaman Tier 21 looks amazing with it. It's almost like they were designed for it. It's the set that has like the big sort of neon blue feathers, the mythic set, and like
Oh,
the gigantic
mm-hmm,
tusk belt.
mm-hmm.
So they really look great, especially with the blue Zandalari skin tones. So I'm a fan of that.
Here we have the pictures showing clearly with the different hair colors. So we see 6 hair colors here, and here we see all the different hairstyles as well. How many is this? It's like just over 20, 23 it looks like.
Yeah.
There might
Yeah.
even be more, I'm not sure. But you could see 23 there at least. So you can see that there's a lot of customization.
Yeah. So we should talk a little bit about some of the armor that
Yeah.
these people can use. So I'm not sure which way the slideshow is going, but we data mined several types of armor. The interesting one was something called Orc Clan, which, related to what Ian was saying, could very possibly be for some sort of Draenor Orc heritage armor set.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks pretty cool. It's like a high-res version of what the guards in Orgrimmar use. It also goes great with those Garrosh shoulders from Mr. Pandaria.
Something to note here, especially in the rightmost picture right now, is that they are not wearing pants at the moment.
Yeah.
Just a small note in case you noticed.
I mentioned that in the tweet, and people are like, "Oh, like Orc no need pants. Like the set just looks fine as is. Like everything else is so bulky, you don't really notice it." But yeah, they probably will have pants.
Probably, yeah.
We also data mined a bunch of Warfront armor. Warfronts are sort of those it's inspired by Warcraft RTS.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a mix of PvP plus Garrison, and we know that one is going to be in Stormguard in Arathi Highlands. What I find interesting about these sets is that there are different tiers of them, and they all have sort of the base look, but it's sort of like, the difference between normal and mythic PvE armor, where the better sets have like more spikes and stuff, so you can see that the helm and like the shoulder and the belt have more elaborate doodads as you go from tier 1 to tier 3.
So tier 1 is showing right now, I believe. Actually, it's kind of hard to tell. The picture is pretty small. But yeah, so I have 2 slideshows here. One shows this human one is showing the leather one. It's showing tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And this example that I have of the orc is the horde plate one.
So many spikes.
Yeah. And something that I noticed with this horde one specifically, the plate one, is that the higher the tier, the more spikes. There you go. This must be tier 3.
Yep.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
So then we also data mined a bunch of quest and dungeon armor related to the Kulturas and Zandalari leveling zones. As usual, anything related to Zandalar, people just eat it up on social media, especially the cloth and plate sets that have lots of feathers and gilded pieces on them. But they are all pretty cool. I think most of the pieces are actually up in the dressing room, except for chests if you wanted to preview them.
Mm-hmm. So the Zandalari questing ones are the ones that are showing right now. And sorry, you can continue.
One of the Kulturas questing sets is based on those initial data mined icons that were called Kulturas, so like the purple set with the weird little tentacles at the bottom and the maps and all that. So we can finally see the full set now, and how that all looks. But yeah, I think in general, Kulturas needs some... It's all very drab compared to the Zandalar. I think we need some, I don't know, they need to like lighten up a little bit. Everything's very brown.
Yeah, going from the Zandalari questing to the Kulturas that we just did now was like, whoa, okay. The colors just calmed down like a lot. But yeah, so what we've done here in these slideshows is that they're going through all the different armor types. So it's this slideshow right now is Kultura's questing. So it goes through cloth, leather, plate, anything that was available. And we could go back to Zandalari so you can see the contrast again. Boom, already, feathers, gold, bling. Lots of colors.
Also, do keep in mind this is just the first build, so if a certain armor type doesn't have a set, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it's probably not finished enough yet to be in the data. Like people are like, oh, you're missing Alliance Warfront, and it's like it's coming. It's just not there yet.
Yeah. We also have dungeon sets for both Zandalari and Kulturas. So we've got the Zandalari here. And it's the same thing here. We're going through different types of gear for it. So, I mean, the different types of armor sets. And we can see similar things here, that there's a lot of, you know, golden bling kind of inspiration for the armors. And lots of colors as well. There's red, there's green, there's orange. And then if we switch over to Kultira's dungeon, this can't be right. My bad, give me a second to fix this.
I also wanted to note that sometimes people ask why we show this armor on humans. Sometimes before the armor is like fully set and up on the PTR, and like even in our model viewer, we kind of piece it together with a more elaborate process, and showing it on a human reduces time. It's sort of like the default way we can display it. So we're trying to push everything out as fast as possible. We just go with the human as default and then try to add in more options once it's up in the dressing room where we can do videos on them.
Kultira's dungeon set has been saved, and it is showing now. Yeah, for some reason there was 2 copies of the other one, but we got it fixed. So Kultira's dungeon set is showing here. I think that was it for the different armor types. Actually, no.
Yeah.
We did not mention the dark iron.
Yeah,
heritage.
I feel like. Yeah. I mean, so we got basically, people know what they look like already, but we got the beginnings of the Dark Iron and Zandalari Heritage armor in the data, but the Zandalari one isn't complete, and the, you know, Dwarf one, I guess we learned that the Dwarf one has different plates that sort of glow like a burning forge at points, so like their shoulders can turn orange and they turn brown, but we kind of knew what they looked like at BlizzCon already. But no, I guess it's good to know that Blizzard is developing these allied races. They're not forgotten about. So, yeah. So, of course, now that we don't have artifacts and we've got all this new armor, of course, you need to have
weapons.
Yeah. So,
which one do you want to start with?
Why don't we start with the Zandalar stuff? Because everyone loves Zandalar.
Okay, Zandalari questing weapons.
Yeah.
Slideshow on. And as you're going to notice, there are a lot. The slideshow is going to go on for a bit, so you can go ahead and talk about anything.
Yeah. So one thing that you'll notice among all the slideshows we're showing is an increased presence in wands, which we didn't really get in Legion because none of the artifact weapons were wands. But they're now more of a thing in Battle for Azeroth, and I think every slideshow we're going to be showing will include some type of wand. So I think that this transmog might be Horde only because it seems to be, you know, from the Horde only quests. But again, looks super cool. Tons of bling.
It might be the case where you have to play a Horde character to unlock them, and then you could probably transmog into them on an Alliance character. Obviously, we don't know yet, but there has been a lot of quests in the past that have done that, so it is very possible.
Yeah.
We've shown, I believe, most of the questing weapons. I want to give you guys a preview of the Kultira's questing weapons as well.
Yeah.
Right there.
One of these, I mean, of course they're not as, quote, cool as Zandalari, but one I think you'll see towards the front, it's a warglaive, and it's got like an anchor on it, so I think that that's kind of cool, how the demon hunters can, you know, be nautical demon hunters. And, you know, some of them are anchors. I think if you like simple models, like, you know, there's a very elegant sword. It's just a very different type, you know, different style in general.
And most of these items are going to be green items, right? Probably.
Yeah, some of them are already in the database. Like, you know, we'll have one color of a sword in the database already. And they're all green so far.
Yeah. So if you think about that, then it's actually already very detailed to be just a green item. So
yeah,
like comparing it to Zandalari may not even like be fair in that sense. I think they are doing their own. They're living up to being a greenie at least. So.
Yeah. So we also have slideshows for the Alliance and Horde Warfronts weapons. We're not sure how you get these, but they obviously have faction themes, and they match the armor we were just showing pretty well. You know, so it's very, you know, blue and gold and silver for the Alliance, and red and bronze and silver for the Horde. And there's even really cool Horde warglaives. So
they just showed up now. Perfect timing.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the Horde warglaives, the Horde mace, and the Alliance kind of feathered staff thing that's blue are my favorite ones out of this list.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we don't know how we get these yet, but it's
We
cool.
got
There's a
some
lot of
shields
variation.
as well.
I think it's also a cool throwback how some of these look like the vanilla leveling honor like level system. How they kind of resemble that classic High Warlord or Grand Marshal look.
Oh yeah, that's true. But yeah, there's I keep waiting for the weapons to like start repeating themselves, but
Yeah.
they just keep on going.
Yeah.
There we go. I think we actually
Yeah.
reached the end of the Warfront Alliance one. But yeah, so the Horde ones. I think this one looks really cool. I'm not sure if that's an offhand, is it? It looks like a sort of glowing red skull.
Oh, yeah. I think that must be an offhand. It looks like a severed head with hair. Oh, that's so weird.
I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so continuing with weapons, we also have something called Battle Dungeon, which we're not exactly sure about what it is at the moment, right?
Yeah, we don't know if it's usually if it's a dungeon, it would be called like dungeon. So we're like, does battle dungeon mean, I don't know, is that a fancy word for, I don't
Dungeon
know,
with an
the
extra.
content? Or like the
Yeah.
PvP islands where it's like dungeon with like an extra PvP element, or is it like a challenge dungeon, like, Warlords challenge mode weapons? So we
Yeah.
don't really know. There is a variety of art styles though. So, we have some bright, flashy Zandalar weapons, but then we have this interesting kind of muted shield that looks like a gigantic ripped off car door. So we're not really sure the general aesthetic of this. It seems to span a few different styles.
There it is, the one that she just
Yep.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shield I was showing before was more colorful, more reminding of the Zendalari
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool stuff that they got there. I'm actually very curious about this battle dungeon to see what kind of challenge that's going to be.
Yeah.
We have, I actually kind of miss the idea of challenge modes with like special gear.
Right.
I mean, we do have mythics now, and I guess we have artifact appearances, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah. So this last one is my favorite. There is a one-hand mace, and the model name is the Honey Stick. And as we'll cover in a second, we data mined different mount models, and there is a bee mount. So
Yeah.
obviously these are related. And yeah, it's just so absurd and out of the blue that there's a weapon that looks like, a dripping honeycomb.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad because it seems to be a mace, which means I can't use it as a warlock, for example. But if you are a mace wielder, is that
Yeah.
what it would be called? If you are a mace
Yeah.
wielder, then you should definitely try out, flying around on your bee mount together in this weapon.
Yeah.
Bzz.
Yeah. So speaking of mounts, we
Yeah.
have even more mounts that we want to talk about and have a slideshow for.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know a lot about where all these mounts were from. We know some information. One that we know a lot about is called the Hive Mind. And the uses teaches you how to transform into the Hive Mind. Other members of your Hive Mind may join with you. This is a flying mount. And we data mined a spell called Joined Hive Mind, which is called joins with the target, a member of your Hive Mind, following normal vehicle rules. And when we
Yeah.
looked into the spell effects, it shows that when you join, it increases movement speed, and it keeps stacking more and more faster and faster based on the number of players that are linked together.
Yeah, what is that gonna mean? Like, what's the limit? How fast is this mount going to move? How many people can it
Yeah.
carry? Like that, I'm
And it
actually
looks
so
like
excited.
Spring. And based on the name of the flavor text, it says it's a true union of minds and drops from the hive mind. So it kind of, people think it's a reference to the community that likes finding secrets. And it's like together for the hive mind, and they have to work together to figure out how to, get this mount. And past secrets have been old god themed, like the Lucid Nightmare. So, very cool mount.
Yeah.
We also have a bunch of, we've got that dinosaurs are mounts, we've got horses as mounts, a few notable mounts. The Zandalari Direhorn are for the recruitment scenario for the Zandalari trolls. We've got some goblin hovercrafts.
Oh, these look cool. They come in different
Yeah,
color variations as well.
yeah, we've got a green and a red and like a bronze and a blue.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a toad loa mount. If you check it out in the model viewer, the mount special, like it sticks out its tongue like it's catching a fly. Um, and we covered all the horses already. Some of those are mounts, and as usual, there are gladiator proto drakes, and they're pretty cool. And yeah, sure there'll be more mounts over time, but it's cool that there's so many already.
Yeah. I think the one
Um,
I'm most excited about is the Hive Mind mount.
yeah, I'm really super curious how you get that, and I just want to see it in the air, like this tentacled brain thing, just
Yeah.
zooming to like 500 mount, speed. So
Yeah.
that's me.
And also,
This
how are
next,
people gonna sit on? Like, how do we know how big it is?
I mean, do you just link to it? Like, I don't know, but when it says link, like, do you click on it and then like the tentacles join together so there's like 20 brains flying in the
Oh.
sky? It's it sounds ridiculous. I'm very excited to see it in
Yeah,
action
me
though.
too. Me too. That's an
Um,
interesting one. So the mounts may actually just sort of connect together. Because it does
yeah,
require you to also have the mount, right?
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
it's
must be some
members of
kind
the
of connection.
members of the
Yeah.
hive mound can link
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll have to do a thing or like do a lore quest and get access, and then I don't know, you gain an ability to either summon the brain or, I don't know, attach yourself to the brain or
Yeah.
transfer into the brain. I don't know.
And then
But
maybe like one central person is the one who's like deciding where to move. Or maybe
yeah,
everyone's moving,
who
but
decides where to go if
yeah.
like
Maybe
people
the
just go
first
in different
person?
directions? Yeah.
Or what if it ends up being like a line? Kind of like all those mount trains that we have in
Like a
Deltarune.
single line. That would be
Yeah.
great.
So it becomes
So
like
you
slash
got like
like
different
a slash
patterns
follow.
that you attach. Just like suppose people try to make shapes with them, like a circle or
Oh
like an
yeah.
arrow.
Oh, what if you
Just
can decide who to connect to?
oh, that would be fun. So I feel like Blizzard will have a lot of fun with this mount.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the amounts that we decided to highlight. As mentioned, there's probably going to be a lot more, and there are more that we didn't even show you guys. We tried to pick the ones that were the most interesting to see.
Yeah. So our final model viewer thing before we get into classes and some more data mining database updates, our Wowhead's dressing room has gotten a ton of updates, even some today in the middle of the show. So as we covered, the Zandalari trolls are up in the model viewer to customize and dress up. You can even save outfits and come back to them later if you're logged in. We then decided to add the customizations for the Kulturon and Thin Humans, and people love them so much that we went back and added in every possible race that was available in the data, so you can actually try out things like Vrykul and Ice Trolls and Tonka and Forest Trolls now, just so you can see how everything looks. And Naga actually looked pretty cool.
How does that work with armor? Like, is every armor designed to fit anything?
Those races, yeah, sometimes the helms do look a little funny, but
Mm-hmm.
the armor does fit them pretty well.
That's pretty cool.
Um, and if pants on Naga are basically just like a tube top bottom thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the post on Wowhead, I linked to all the races wearing something cool, like the
Mm-hmm.
Tonka I put in like Druid Tier 6, and the Vrykul I put in like Battle Gear of Might.
Oh,
Um,
that's really cool.
And the coolest thing that we just did is that we just enabled an option for NPC skin options for playable races. With the announcement that maybe Draenor Orcs could be an allied race, we just wanted to enable everything like the Wild Hammer Dwarf skin or like the Dark Iron skin, so people could just have fun playing with all these alternate options if they want. This does not mean that there's only one Dark Iron Dwarf skin or like only one Wild Hammer tattoo. We just thought that, since people were really enjoying the customization and wanting to know all the potential things available in game right now, why not just make the dressing room have, more options with it?
Yeah, I think
So,
that's awesome of you guys to do, just to give people more options to play around with. Like,
yeah.
why
And
not?
if you care about them, there's a little checkbox on the dressing room that's like, show or hide NPC options, so you know, you won't get confused. You won't be like, oh, well, like Wowhead told me I could make an orc that's, bright purple. It's like, no, you
Yeah.
you have to hit a certain button to see that. But there's
Yeah.
lots of cool things. Like there's kind of a demon hunter gnome. There's wooden night elves. There are a ton of brown-skinned orcs. There's a blood elf that kind of looks like Sylvanas with red eyes. There's the Grim Totem Tauren. There are Wildhammer and Dark Iron Dwarves. There are tons of really cool things that you can play around with and dress up now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're done with the stuff. Yeah.
Maybe we can get a quick link in the chat for the model viewer as well, in case there's people who's interested in playing around with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, onto classes.
Yeah.
Another very interesting topic. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah. So just as a side note, not really much to discuss here, but if you Wowhead has a data mining post that lists like every single change for classes, but if you want it sort of all organized in more visual form, we have a talent calculator updated where you can see your grid of talents and then see all the abilities for your spec, how it would look in battle for Azeroth. And to get there, just go to the Battle for Azeroth version of Wowhead, bfa.wowhead.com, and then access the talent calculator normally, and you'll see like the new version, and you can have the pages open side by side to see what's, changed at a glance. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty straightforward. But if you really want to dive into every single thing that's changed, we have a gigantic post of class spell changes, and we'll highlight some of the top things, but this is by no means, complete. Obviously there's some classes had a lot of different talent changes, as Blizzard covered in their class blog. Mm-hmm. Some artifact traits like Ret Paladin or Fire Mage are now talents or baseline spells.
Mm-hmm. Which was something that we were talking about before as well, how they, how like certain artifact traits felt like a core part of how the class is, I guess, performing in the rotation. Something that, if gone, could make the spec feel a bit empty. All those kind of things. Some of those became talents, some became baseline spells, and of course some are just completely removed as well. Yeah. There were also some changes to other things that we, something that we also mentioned, the AoE crowd control effect. I think wasn't there like a specific example that they gave with that? How they didn't want every class to have like an AoE stun, for example.
That goes back to the interview of, if something's really cool utility, like everyone shouldn't have it, and then you just bring the one person that has the awesome utility. We're trying to spread the love around. Mm-hmm. And because that was really powerful and lots of people had them, it's like, well, let's just bring everyone that has this AoE crowd control and just constantly, CC everything.
And we see similar things to that with even other things that are not necessarily AoE crowd control effects. Like we have like the Paladin, what's it called? It's called Hand of Blessing. The
Divine Steed and Blessing of Freedom cooldown.
Blessing of Freedom, sorry, my bad. Well, the Divine Steed as well. Those were nerfed to have longer cooldowns, and again, that gives.
It went from 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes because that was a really powerful silence. So
yeah. So we see that in all aspects of the game, again, to make things feel more important and decision making rather than just like start spamming it whenever it's available.
Also, if you look at the spell data, you might be confused and say, wow, this ability does, way less damage. What's going on? Blizzard is nerfing. There's like a huge stat squish. Blizzard is nerfing everything. They're not nerfing because it looks like they're nerfing it, but just like everything is being really scaled down. So it does not mean a nerf. It just means that, everything just has a smaller number in general. Mm-hmm. So that's what's up with that. We're not going to go through every single class option, but just a few interesting highlights. Death Knights have a new ability that's still being worked called Thought Seize, which steals a beneficial magic effect from the target. And activating the spell can transfer the effect to a friendly target, so you could give it to someone else in your party. And really cool. Death Advance has returned, which means that for 10 seconds you can't be slowed below 100% of normal speed, and you resist force movement effects by 80%, and you're immune to knockbacks. Demon Hunters have a lot of revamped talents, and like before, it's like one talent was really the obvious choice in a row, and they sort of put a few of those must-have talents in the same row, so now you have to make harder decisions. I think. If you wanna read a few, that's fine as well. I don't need to just like. No.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm jumping in sometimes. I just don't want to interrupt as well. Like we have, for example, druids have some changes in the different forms. For example, frenzied regeneration is changed in bear form. Tiger Dash is changed for cat form, and they also got some spells back, such as Hibernate and Soothe. Soothe was one of those abilities that we mentioned in the past as well. And similarly, with the hunters, they also get their tranquilizing shot back. So that's interesting. That means that we're probably going to have to, not have to, but probably will be able to have a need for removing enraged buffs from NPCs and similar.
Yeah.
Bringing back the usefulness of or uniqueness of certain classes.
Yeah. Mages have Arcane Intellect coming back as a returning ability, which increases your intellect by 5% for 1 hour. Monks, Stagger has been reworked for the Brewmaster specialization. Their effectiveness is basically halved. And Windwalker Monks were another spec with a lot of new talents. If you remember the Reddit AMA, Windwalkers wrote a ton of feedback on how they wanted things changed. So, hopefully this is some change people are looking for.
Mm-hmm. And more buffs are coming back, such as Priest's Power Word Fortitude, and we also have Druid Mark of the Wild, and I think there might have been some other ones as well. We have some more specific ones, or specific abilities, like Shaman. Tremor Totem was gone.
Yeah.
It is making a return.
Yeah, that's their buff. Yay. We didn't know what it was, and it's like, oh, this is the thing that now helps your party. So
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Also important for priests, I know in the BlizzCon interview you were asking about Surrender to Madness and priest abilities. And it was also funny because one of Wowhead's news writers, Angelin, as a joke, was carrying around a gigantic sign that said buff surrender to madness during BlizzCon and going up to the devs with this gigantic sandwich board. And surrender to madness now does not kill you as a shadow priest. Instead of dying horribly, you take damage equal to 90% of your maximum health instead. So that is a change.
Yeah.
Cloak and Shadows and Faint were slightly nerfed for rogues. Warlocks had a life tap changed to grant a soul shard on a cooldown and a lot of new talents. So
the life tap change is a question mark. Like that, it feels so strange that life tap is changing into something completely different. Because life tap has been life tap for so long now, and now it's changing. Like what? I get a soul shard? Like what about mana? What if I want to get mana for whatever reason? I guess they're looking into like not needing to worry about mana or something, but it was still like a nice kind of unique thing to Warlock. I'm curious to why they changed that. I guess we'll see. So yeah, it generates a soul shard and it also has a cooldown. Whereas when we were giving ourselves mana, that had no cooldown. You could do that as long as you had the HP for it.
Yeah. And then finally with Warriors, they're one of those classes that had a lot of changed and reworked talent rows as well. During BlizzCon, we highlighted some of the tank changes. But there's, I think there was a lot of DPS ones as well. One point that I also wanted to mention for Hunters is that we data mined a lot more abilities. So like each pet gets something cool that it does. And it seems that there is also the reemergence of some hunter talents, which if I can scroll down to that part of the page, I can read some. So like the Feather Mane now has an ability called Feather Flurry. The Dragonhawk has Dragon's Guile. The Wolf has Furious Bite. The dog has Lockjaw. Netherray has Nether Shock. So everyone kind of gets a cool ability. And then there are talents called like Circle of Life that can restore a dead target to life. There is a Primal Rage talent, Endurance Training, you and your pet gain maximum health, or Pathfinding, you and your pet gain movement speed, or Predator's Thirst, you and your pet gain leech. So we're not sure what this all looks like in game, but it does look like Hunter pets are getting some more interesting stuff, and that sort of ties into Ian talking about the class fantasy over the spec fantasy. It's like, well, it seems like there's an increased emphasis on your pet in Battle for Azeroth and choices you make with your pet affecting what you do as well and your utility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
So
there's even more things of classes that has been changed and might even change again. Who knows?
oh,
But we,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely change more. But we wanted to pick up some of the highlights that we thought were interesting for people to read about or to hear about.
Yeah. So this next part, I personally find really interesting. We've talked about how sometimes Wowhead will get what's called broadcast text, which is all the little NPC dialogue lines you see in your chat window or what you get when you click on them. And we have learned a bit about the battle for Lordaeron and Zandalari story. Do we need a spoiler tag for this? I'm not.
I think we do, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll put one up.
Cool.
Spoiler
just let me
tag
know
is
when it's
up.
Cool. So we've learned a bit about how these Zandalari trolls join the Horde, and then some of the conflicts the Zandalari face on their continent. So the story does not just start with the trolls in Zandalar. It starts at the Battle for Lordaeron, where the Alliance led the attack after the Horde appeared to instigate the burning of Teldrassil. And based on the scenario steps, we've learned that Sourfang is defeated by the Alliance and the Undercity is evacuated. And then we also learned that there is a scenario that the Horde gets where they have a rescue mission to free Sourfang from Stormwind, and along the way you also rescue the Prophet Zul and the Zandalari Princess Talanji. So then when you free them and you bring them back, the Father King Rastakhan is indebted to you, and for several reasons decides that it would make sense to join the Horde. This has benefits to everyone because the Zandalari then gain an ally in dealing with the threats of the Blood Trolls and other threats on Zandalar, and the Horde gain the really powerful Zandalari navy. So early on in the dialogue, we also see that there's some tension between Zul and the Zandalari. Zul historically was the prophet that convinced the Zandalari to do some questionable things, like, you know, kind of being the bad guys in Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria, and, you know, like raising the Thunder King and attacking Kunlai Summit. And apparently Zul doesn't really want them to join the Horde, and the princess is like, oh, I wish my father would listen to me more than these, you know, boring advisors. And we then learn 3 different threats that they face in the continents. The first one, which you know the least about, is in Vol'dun, and we learn that there's some threat in a locked tomb, and someone is trying to summon a horrible monster inside to do something terrible, which does not sound good. Then we've also learned, we discussed the Blood Trolls in Nazmir, how the Blood Trolls are attacking the princess, and she recruits the help of the Gob Squad, who is a funny group of goblins on good terms with Vol'jin. And they have a lot of really funny dialogue, which we're going to put up on the screen so you can just see their, you know, kind of style. Like,
yeah, I'm showing it right now. There's lots of different quotes that are really funny, so we decided to just show them all so you can, you know, pause and read them all if you'd like to. We can put a little bit of emphasis on some of them, just kind of randomly picked. For example, here, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody said we'd be dealing with undead. We work with undead all the time, you idiot. Boss, I think what they call the politically correct term is Forsaken.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know why I believe working with goblins would result in anything other than this. Well, excuse me, princess. So, and just like the funny things that they're like, oh, we're gonna blow up your old god up, goblin style, or I should have brought more explosives to blow up the old god. Just really funny style.
Yeah.
And it's cool how there's that goblin link. You know, we always think of goblins sort of being like mercenary or like into Azerite, but it's cool how these goblins, you know, helped Vol'jin back when Vol'jin was trying to spy on the Corcoran and what Garrosh was up to, and now it's like, oh, well, you know, they were nice to Vol'jin, so it makes sense why the Zandalari are trusting these goblins now. And then finally, the third storyline hinted at is the civil war that kind of breaks out between the followers of King Rastakhan and the princess, and then the prophet Zul. We learn that Zul is trying to draw corrupted power from the sacred resting place of kings and do something horrible with that. We have some dialogue that makes it seem that the Zandalari are sort of urging the people to go out and fight against the followers of Zul, and the different sacred Loa are going out to fight them. And it looks like something bad has happened because they're like, oh, Loa, like, let's go, Resin, let's go hunting. And then we later learn in the Atal Dazar dungeon journal that Razan, once a Loa to the Zuldawar kings, had his soul torn from his body during a ritual. Now only a twisted husk remains. So it looks like whatever rebellion was taking place did not go well, and that story further continues. It's not just like a cut and dried, yay, we crushed the rebellion, like, Zul's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, something bad has happened. So I think that's about it for the spoilers. And we
I'll
can
remove
just...
it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for the story time, Perk.
Aw, no problem.
I think Perk is awesome at retelling all this stuff. I think probably because she's one of the first people to put it together, and now we're the lucky ones here to be able to listen to it. So thank you. On to less lore things and less spoilers. Well, it's kind of a spoiler because it's how something will work in the next expansion, but it's not really a real spoiler of something story related. Professions. Profession skill squish. So we have, how stat squish with damage dealing and HP and all that stuff. Apparently, it looks like professions will be squished as well. So at the moment, it looks like it's capping at 100, which is interesting. At the moment, it's at 800, and it's been going up ever since forever. It's been going up for like about 100
Every
points,
100,
I think.
Yeah.
Around 100 points for each expansion, and it seems like now they've reached some kind of cap. I think that's what Blizzard thinks, at least. They're like, yeah, you know what? The numbers are getting too crazy. We're going to take it down all the way to 100. And, I did level a lot of these professions because there's an achievement that requires you to have all the professions maxed to 800. And I felt like because of a lot of the catch-up mechanics with skilling your profession, a lot of the skills felt unnecessary. So it's like...
You're like, oh, I'll just like craft this like 800 times.
Yes.
Like, very,
exactly
engaging.
Like from skill 100 to around 600, 650, it was basically craft the same thing over and over again, which is more than half of coming to 800. So it makes sense that they're now, putting it down to like only 100. So maybe that big gap will just be, I don't know, maybe up to like 40 or something, or probably even less than that. So it's going to be a lot like nicer for the brain to make sense of the numbers, I think, in terms of the difficulty of how to reach different skill levels. And
before we get into what each one does, we're not going to read everything, but just some of the cool highlights. A general trend is that since the artifacts are going away, each profession can craft a few types of weapons again. So that is pretty useful in case you're like, oh no, like I don't have a weapon anymore. It's like, well, at least you can craft something useful.
Yeah.
So maybe we can alternate, but some cool things with alchemists is that they have a few interesting potions. I won't read all of them, but one is the Seamus potion, which turns you into a cloud. And then there's a potion of concealment, which hides you from detection as long as you stand still for 15 minutes. And there's always an alchemy trinket. This one is the Silosphere of Transmutation. This one, this time, lets you interact with special cauldrons in Kultiras and Zandalar. So that's pretty cool. If I don't know how that will work, if there'll be like little treasure chests or like little healing potions lying around, but that seemed interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at blacksmiths a little bit?
I was gonna talk about enchanting because I'm an enchanter.
Okay.
Can I do
so
that?
I'll just do blacksmithing really quick.
Yeah, go for blacksmith.
There's some sort of new stirrups. We're not really sure what they do yet. But there's this really cool item called the Kazgorian Hammer. And when crafting blacksmithing armor or weapons, there's a chance it will be given the indestructible property, so you don't have to pay a repair bill. And then you can also use the hammer to repair all of your equipment in an instant. So you don't have to go to a vendor or go on a mammoth. It's sort of like a little portable repair thing. All right, now we're good for
enchanting. My profession. One of the so there seems to be a few new enchants available, weapon enchants and other kinds of enchants too. Some of the examples for the weapon enchants is threat reduction, and more. But I found threat reduction really interesting. does that mean that threat will become a more important thing
I'm
in
sure.
combat
Yeah.
in the new expansion? Because that's something that Blizzard has really put behind. Like that was big in like how things were in like vanilla, and it was really important. Like don't do too much damage. The tanks have to build up their threat, but it feels like threat is something that's not been important for several expansions now.
I mean, I
And
could see if they want more utility, I could see them being like, oh, like threat's suddenly an issue, and like this tank is really, this tank's great at threat, this other tank's good at staying alive. I don't know, something like that.
yeah, no, I
Um,
found that really interesting because it does feel like, again, bringing back some of the old mechanics that has been put away or shelved away, and bringing it back. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to make use of that. Other examples is proccing a spell on casting a spell, proccing extra melee attacks, bonus healing, and leech. You can also enchant gloves to increase the speed of your Hearthstone cast. What are they called? Bubble Hearth? Is it Hearth Bubble or Bubble Hearth?
yeah,
Paladin.
Bubble Hearth. Yeah.
Bubble Hearth. So now, make those casts even faster for paladins. Crafting BFA items, gathering herbs, skinning, mining, and archaeology, which is similar to some of the enchants that we have even today, actually. Yeah. Do you want to go on with the engineering one?
Yeah, they have lots of fun stuff. So just to name a few of what they have a bunch of bombs with different utility effects. They have the interdimensional companion repository, which summons a portal stable master. That's great for hunters. They have a portable transmog pad, so you can transmog anywhere. They have something called the electroshock mount motivator, which increases your mounted movement speed by 10% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. And of course, because it's engineering, it can make your mount become confused, which then, negates the benefits of moving quickly.
Yeah.
And there's also funny named items like FRIED, which is a bomb that deals fire damage. So lots of fun engineering stuff, and engineering always gets the best stuff.
They do. I've said this so many times. Like, I wish I'd picked engineer from the beginning. Then you might think, well, why don't you just, switch profession? I've had my professions since forever. I have patterns that are no longer available. And it would just really hurt.
I wrote some classes that specifically to get the professions before they went away in Cataclysm. Like, I made a Death Knight in Wrath, and I specifically farmed all the blacksmithing recipes on her, so like I can never get rid of blacksmithing now because of all the old world items that she has.
Yeah.
So, do you want to cover inscription?
Yeah, so we got some new stuff for scribes as well. They've got the updated Ventus runes. They've got Dark Moon cards coming back as well, and the new talent swapping item, Tome of the Quiet Mind. They can also create contracts with some of friends, followers. Is it related to the world quests?
Yeah, so apparently if you have them out, then you gain bonus reputation as you do the world quests.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that one. Thanks. And is that the one that's called House Waycrest?
Yeah, that's an example of one.
Okay. And this one says, enter a contract with House Waycrest that allows you to gain reputation with them every time you complete a world quest. Okay, got it now.
Yeah, and one of the horse models we looked at was called Waycrest horse, so it's like, oh, I assume if we do enough world quests with these guys, they'll give us a horse.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. So it looks like you can get different contracts for different reputations. That may be interesting for you. There's some new stuff for leatherworkers as well. They can craft a scuba suit. The scuba helm says, don a scuba helm, allowing you to breathe underwater. Lasts 15 minutes. And then there's the scuba suit as well, which increases your swim speed by 100% and also lasts for 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then obviously they can craft a lot more things. We're just highlighting like the really interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously I think leatherworkers have fist weapons as well as leather and mail armor, but it's like, oh, of course, they craft leather armor.
Does this have a specific armor type, or is it going to be for everyone?
I think this is for everyone.
Okay.
And to wrap it up, tailors can craft a hot air balloon pet, new 30 and 32 slot bags, and some battle flags, which apparently will help with CC reduction, damage reduction, and mount speed. And I think they have capes that have interesting utility effects as well. So, that's it about
Do we know if professions are going to bring back the idea of profession kind of like being essential to your damage?
I think Blizzard's moving away from that. We haven't found any personal buffs in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're going back to that.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
this was also, I didn't put this in the notes, but I found this interesting. So there's things called like classic cooking allows a cook to make basic recipes up to a maximum potential skill of 300. And I wonder if, I don't know, it's sort of like they added in a kind of like, if achievements were around in vanilla, then this would be an achievement for reaching 300. Like, it's weird how the achievements for every other expansion are either 75 or 100, but the classic one is 300. So it's like, I don't know, were they experimenting with classic achievements or something?
Oh.
Or it just really stood out how that one was specifically 300. But yeah, that's it on professions basically.
Got some more.
Highlight, some interesting music and items in the database. We're not going to highlight all the music, but there were a few tracks that had a ton of listens to them, so I just want to put a little bit of that music on.
So this one is called City of Gold, or is it City of Gold Dark?
I think it's City of Gold, and that is, I think that's like a nickname for the Zandalari capital city, Zuldawar.
Here we go. So much hype in the music. I'm sorry if I just ruined someone's immersion. It's so hard to know when you should pause it because it's like it keeps just building.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so that was one of the examples that we wanted to show you guys, and the second example that I wanted to show was
I think it's just called Battle for Azeroth music, so maybe this is the theme of the expansion.
I actually lost this one. Give me just a second.
Oh. If you guys want the rest of the music, we made a playlist on Wowhead's YouTube for all this.
Yeah, I'll play this one. Okay, I'll stop it there. But yeah, that was Battle for Azeroth music, Glenn Stafford. But yeah, this one was very very different tone actually compared to the one that we played previously. Sort of a more like immersive, like eerie kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it. Music is like,
it's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but I think if you listen to it, then I think you know what I mean. It's just a sort of like calming sensation of Blizzard music. Blizzard is always on point with their music. They're really good with their orchestras and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'm sure we'll have more music in future builds. And as mentioned, there's like 20 tracks total, which is on Wowhead's YouTube. And we'd have the show be even longer if we played through all of the music.
Yeah.
So we've got some the Battle for Azeroth database is up, which means that if you search on the bfa.wowhead.com site or filter for items, even more items come up that you don't see on live. Some of the fun ones that we've highlighted that are just kind of miscellaneous cool things. There were some interesting toys. One is the overtuned corgi goggles, which is designed to make your friends look adorable. Then we've got a Zandalari effigy amulet, which creates an attackable effigy of your current target. And the vendor on this is Grifta, who is everyone's favorite troll that is scamming people. So it's cool that he's in the next expansion. We've got a Scroll of Absolute Handsomeness that transforms the caster for 5 minutes. And then we've got something called Spitzy, which is a toy that brings forth your own little sea slug friend. And the flavor text is best friend and loyal pal may or may not try to control your thoughts. So that sounds a bit sinister.
Mm-hmm. One question about the Zandalari effigy amulet. So it says it creates an attackable effigy. Is that like a sort of image?
So
or what
yeah,
does
it's
effigy
basically
mean?
it's like a target dummy.
Okay,
So,
and it'll look like your target, like whoever you chose. Okay, so if you wanna punch your friend, you just
exactly.
Yeah.
Let them know how you really feel.
Yeah.
Then I think we've got a little image of this. There's a cool pirate helm transmog, as well as some versions of the Kulturen kind of tri-cornered hats that are marked as cosmetic. So we're not sure if this is from Pirates Day. It would make sense, if they're all kind of nautical themed. But there is one pirate hat that's in cloth, leather, mail plate, and then there's 2 that are marked as cosmetic. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, showing it right now.
Yeah. Then there's a few more minor things, like there is a Fabergé egg that teaches you how to summon Francois, and we think that could be a Noble Garden reward, because, eggs, Noble Garden, fancy Easter eggs. We've data mined a lot of new sausages, which we think are going to be part of Brewfest, and this might be a little obscure, but one of the sausages is called the Loken, and it has a very kind of detailed flavor text about how it's made, and there's this really popular hot dog truck by Blizzard called the Viking Truck. It's really popular at BlizzCon. And they have a hot dog called the Loki, which is made with like kind of similar ingredients. So I think that this is a tribute because Loken in WoW is kind of inspired by Loki, and the names are kind of related. And the description of the hot dog is like very precise. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's a nice little detail.
There are fun Grifta totems. For example, there's one that's called, sorry, screen sprite a second, loading it up. The Vol'jin Invulnerability Totem, which is Grifta guarantees that this long-lost totem of the Horde's recently lost war chief will protect you from all mortal harm. And it is a gray item, which implies that, as usual with Grifta stuff, it does not work. So,
yeah, more scamming.
And then we data mined something which we think is a Children's Week title, which is the No Good Rotten Candy Stealer. So,
that's a pretty long title.
And then something bad happens to you.
It's always very funny with like long and ridiculous titles, and this is definitely one of them. Like, what was the one from that raid?
Slayer of the Stupid Incompetent Minions. If you killed Maloriak without someone dying, I think on
something like that.
Difficulty, and that lasted for 30 minutes.
Yeah, reminded me of that, but it seems like it's going to be a more permanent one.
And yeah, there's a ton of stuff in the database, but a lot of it's very placeholder, like 8.0 PH reputation, or like Meat 02 needs name. So I don't want to get into detail. But yeah, that's about it as usual. If you just want to if you want to know what items are new, just go to bfa.wowhead.com/items and select the filter for stuff added after 7.3.5, and then all the stuff will pop up, and you can filter by different things. Like, you don't have to go to the items page. You can go to items, and then the I don't know, mounts to only see the mounts, or items cloth chest to only see new cloth chest, etc. So you can narrow down to just only sort for the type of stuff you really care about.
Some other stuff that's been going on in the past weeks on live servers was the Doomsayer robes that was discovered by Secret Finding Discord. I love them. They're so cool.
Okay.
Always finding out the secrets. I've got a little screenshot here of how it looks like. So it seems like the way to obtain this is to kill opposing NPCs of the opposite cities, right?
Yeah, so there's one NPC in each city that has the highest chance to drop this toy. That is Gordon McKellar in Stormwind in the Mage District, and then Charles Gasly in Orgrimmar for the Alliance. And it's not 100% chance at all, but it's more like maybe under 10%.
Mentioning that it's the highest chance to drop, where else does it drop?
Some people have been reporting that it could drop from guards.
Okay. So it's still in the opposite cities. Like there's not other places.
Yeah, so its estimated drop chance on guards is 1% or lower, but
Mm-hmm.
reports say that Charles and Gordon have a higher chance to get it, and they spawn every 5 minutes or so. So you
Okay.
have a group try to find it.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, you're dressed up like a Doomsayer, including the sandwich board. And yeah, Doomsayers they sort of come back every expansion now and panic about stuff and have pretty funny lines. So people
Yeah.
really like Doomsayers.
More to do with live servers. We always have the Love is in the Air event. I actually don't know the exact time that it starts. I wonder if it's
I think
already.
I it could be
I think it's 10
soon-ish.
a.m. for
Yeah,
EU, so it would be in 7 hours ish.
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So if you are interested in the infamous Love Rocket mount, you can now start farming it again. I actually personally ran 50 characters last year. So something that was different with last year was that for the first time ever, you could farm it even on, what was it, like level 16 characters, something really
Yeah,
low.
we're not sure if that's staying the same this year. We'll
No.
try to because for Hollow's End, that mount you could not get at low levels.
Exactly. So it seems like now what a lot of things are pointing towards or hinting at is that you're gonna get a different kind of bag if you're below level 98, and this other type of bag will probably not contain the mount. So it seems like
We
now
can
you
hope
have to
so.
be level 98
Yeah.
to be able to get the mount. So that did reduce my chances a lot, probably most people's chances a lot. What I do recommend people, mount farmers out there, is to create a demon hunter on every server where you have a level 70 character already.
That's clever.
So that's what me and some other people have been doing. So a level 70 character unlocks the ability to have a demon hunter on that server, and then you just do the opening quest or introduction quest, makes it into a level 100, and then you can run it. If you don't have a level 70, one way is to create, if you're like really what's the word, really passionate or really like this like decisive on this, you can create a Death Knight and level it to 70, which apparently is now very, very fast as well, with being able to be boosted in Hellfire Ramparts.
Or use your actual boost. So
Or yes, if you haven't used your 110 boost, you can also use it on a random new server to boost anything, any class. That's actually what I did. So I boosted a warrior on a random server where I had no characters, which also enabled me to, or allowed me to create a demon hunter on that server as well, which gave me 2 characters to farm with instead of 1. So yeah, just a few tips and tricks, from mount collector to mount collector. So yeah.
finally, the Darkmoon Fair comes back this week, and if you are struggling with the Army of the Light or Augustian Reach reputation, you should get the Darkmoon Fair top hat or the Wii Carousel buff, because that will increase your reputation by 10% while it's active, and it's really cheap to pick up the buff again. And you want that as you're using your rep tokens, as you're turning in those emissary quests, as you're doing those world quests. It's probably a little too late, but if you haven't done those weekly quests on Argus that grant 1,000 reputation, hold off turning those in until you have the buff active, because instead of 1,000 rep, you'll get 1,100 rep, and you've just saved yourself doing, like a quest.
Yeah.
So
10% of save time efficiency.
Yeah. So
and, the same with the reputations that may give you Paragon mounts that you may be missing. If you're not doing this already, something might be too late to mention this now, but for future Darkmoon Fair events, you can save your reputation tokens in your bank and save them up and use them as soon as Darkmoon Fair opens with your reputation buff. So you get another 10% extra. It stacks up. It's really worth it if you're serious about Paragon reputation farming.
Yeah. Also, we'll be answering some questions now. Just a final call. We have a giveaway going on in Twitch chat. The keyword is allies. And if you win and you're from NA, you get a race change code. And if you win and you're from EU, you get an Iron Sky Reaver. We've had a lot of questions. A lot of them got answered throughout the show. So I'll just try to skip to the ones I don't think we answered. Gnome Kicker 69 says, do you know what the allied race starting hunter pets are? We actually do. They are in the different allied race guides. I'll just pull them up and read them quickly. Void Elves have the Void Stalker. Nightborn have the Mana Saber. Lightforged have the Lightforged Talbuk. and High Mountain have the Great Eagle.
Wait, what was that? The mounts?
Yeah, no, the starting hunter pets.
Oh,
Like allied race on a
yes,
level 20,
yes.
what pet they get.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's see. Tiny Whiny says, what are your thoughts on Hati and what should happen with it? Will Hati go to Helheim? We would like Hati to be safe and sound, even after artifact weapons go away. We would like him to I would like him to just be kind of chilling in Ulduar with, the Titan Keepers, and just kind of being alive and well again. I don't want him to be trapped in a weapon and then we throw the weapon away. That would be really sad.
Yeah.
Storm Rager 001 says, do the profession squish include secondary professions? We think it does because it's not done yet, but cooking is currently going up to 100. Yeah. Ramstein was like, if I'm 763 right now, will I be level 63 in Battle for Azeroth or level 1 in Battle for Azeroth? The math is more complex than that. It's not like if I'm this level, I'm now like, so I'm not sure if this is about professions or the squish, but
I think I saw that question. I think he meant with the professions.
Yeah, we can't test it out yet. Once the beta is up, and we get invited, we can test this out.
Mm-hmm. I think the way it's gonna work is not gonna be as like direct as you said. Like 793 is not gonna turn into 93. But I think the way it's gonna be is like, okay, well, right now you're in the middle of the part of the profession that represents like Warlords of Draenor. So then you will end up in wherever in the new system the middle of Warlords of Draenor is. That's my guess, at least. Probably that's what they're gonna do. I don't think it'll be reset to 1.
Darker Cloud says, is Heritage Armor only available before BFA releases? No, it's not time sensitive. It's just that if you pre-purchase Battle for Azeroth, you can start leveling that allied race and acquiring the Heritage Armor before the expansion starts. So you just get a head start, but it's not going away.
Yeah.
Croatian says, is there a guide to how long it will take to get the class mounts if you boost to 110 with new races? I mean, it should be really fast because you can just sort of, you could just sort of knock everything out, one after the other. They've really reduced the duration of a lot of the steps needed. They've made parts of the 7-2 campaign a lot easier. It should be really fast. There's no new achievements for mounts in Battle for Azeroth, but there's no really achievements in general. I forgot this. So Tank G is 2566 says, are Dark Iron Dwarf race rolls released or Zandalari trolls? We don't know what they do. We just have the icon names, so it's like, okay, we know when it's called City of Gold. We have no idea what this does. We did put them in the respective guides if you want to read the names, but it's really too early to speculate. I actually feel strongly about this one. Francisco the Mage says, have you heard anything about the collector's edition for Battle for Azeroth, or where, when, or how much? And I feel like, I know it always comes later, but I really feel that it's stressing a lot of people out now to not know about the collector's edition, because you can't get an allied race if you, if you're saying I'm gonna wait for the box and you can't get the box, it's now, now I can't do this cool thing that all my friends are doing. And in the past, historically, I think if you get digital and you upgrade to collectors, they're like, oh, well, now you have an extra code that you can give away. But people are like, yeah, but I spent more money, and I'd rather spend less money and not have this free code to give away. So I don't know. It's causing a lot of confusion among people. I wish that they had better confusion, less confusion, because a lot of the people that that are buying the collector's edition are the really passionate fans, obviously, that really care. And I feel that they're feeling kind of stressed out and sad that they can't actually play allied races right now.
Yeah. And just a quick announcement. We've got Rave Fox as the winner of the giveaway here in the Twitch channel. You have 2 minutes to, is it to whisper sus?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Well, 2 minutes to say something, and then you can just follow the instructions from there. So congrats if you're here. If you're not here, sorry. Hopefully he's around. We had a case last week where we had to, what was it? We had to roll a new winner over 5 times. Yeah. Something like that. They're already done, so. Okay, awesome. Congrats. Well, congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah. Were there any more questions?
Yeah, the Storm Rager says there's a lot. I'm actually skipping a few of these, but Storm
Okay.
Rager says, does the BFA system requirements increase? We actually didn't go over this, but Blizzard did update. They have a current requirements page and a Battle for Azeroth requirement page. They have substantially increased, especially for Mac users. Like it's required that you have metal and like twice as much memory, like up I don't know 40 to 70 for spare storage. So we didn't cover it, but there is a Wowhead post on this. Let's see. Um,
It seems like we have a lot of questions today,
yeah.
so I think what Perk is trying to do
Yeah.
is find the questions that we haven't already answered in one way or another, and find questions that are interesting. Yeah, if I think we might still be taking questions. I'm not sure, or is it done?
So I think the ones that we had are more speculative, which we can address at a different time. Like, how do you think heritage armor would work on a human? Like the show's been going on forever, so I think maybe when we have less to talk about, we can answer somebody's like, I like this the most, and this is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I think let's just call it here. I'm seeing a lot of questions we answer. Like I see Tank being like, oh, can you talk to Horde Blood Elves as White Elves? And it's like, oh yeah, we covered that. So yeah, let's call this show as good. And yeah.
Okay, but yeah, as we said at the very beginning, it's been tons and tons of information to take in today. This is why the show was also a little bit delayed on Twitch. Hopefully it was worth it in terms of the content that we were able to provide. If we did have more time, maybe we would have given even more. Maybe we'll show some of it next time. There is a lot, and I'm really excited to see as the alpha and beta becomes more, actually something that people can take a part of, how much more that we can see of everything. But yeah, it's been a really exciting week. I think we mentioned, I think Perk, you also kind of hinted at some kind of announcement probably being planned around the Q&A, and we were right about that, which is awesome. And the pre-order was actually live, I think maybe half an hour or an hour before the show started. Some of us got stuck in the checkout queue.
The queue was, that's sort of a good thing though. So many people are excited about playing the game. So
and they fixed it really fast. Like at first it was like estimated time 15 hours, and I panicked. I was like, I'm streaming right after the show, like I need it now. And I had friends who had already ordered it before me, and I was like, oh my god, I made a big mistake. But I think within like 20 minutes or half an hour or so, like it actually just calmed down, and they managed to take in everyone, and people got through. So it was pretty good. It went pretty smooth after that. So but this I hope you guys felt like there was a lot of fun, interesting stuff for today. Both the things that we've been talking about, and the pictures, and the little animations of the different things that we've shown today. As we mentioned throughout the show, there's a lot more to all the things that we did show. There's a lot more models. There's a lot more class changes that we may not have mentioned, which may not be final anyways. There's a lot of things. A lot of different articles were written in the past week. If you do follow, or if you do keep track of Wowhead, you'll see how active it's been. Even if you just follow the Twitter, you'll see how many new articles were like just sort of going out.
If you're in Discord, there's a webhook that will push an alert whenever there is new news. So yeah, you can stay on top of it that way if you don't mind alerts.
I remember, I think it was like the day after last week's show or something, when it was really late for me, like 8 a.m. in the morning or 9 a.m. in the morning. And I was just sitting in bed, or not sitting, I was laying in bed on my phone and just scrolling through Twitter. And I keep seeing like Perculia like coming out with new articles. And I'm just like, I'm supposed to be sleeping, but hey, this is really interesting. But yeah, it's been a good week. Good week of lots of information. It's been awesome.
Yeah. I think it's really good for the game, and it's really impressive that Blizzard has staggered it so it's not just all the data mining hype. It's like, oh, well, there's actually new stuff keeps coming out on the live service as well for people to do. So hopefully there'll be less of a content lull if they can keep this pacing up with new stuff to keep doing.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, like the whole staggering thing with the allied races in itself. I mean, we know of two more that's going to come, and we
Three,
don't
maybe.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know many maybes as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool. I think it's they've done really well with like keeping the hype of, you know, giving some but still keeping some, and like we're aware that some stuff is being kept and we want to know more, and once we know, it's like, yeah, I guessed that, or like, oh wow, no way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's an NPC. Like, this must be an allied race.
Yeah.
Like, it has an animation. It's, you know, this means there's potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I also wanted to thank people just as well for following along with all the news and the dressing room, the talent calculator. We actually set a news record on Friday when all the data mining started, and then our #2 record on Tuesday when all the allied races came out. So,
Oh wow.
you know, thank you so much for all the support. Like, the news has been getting a ton of traffic and momentum recently. You know, we thought BlizzCon 2017 traffic was huge, but like this week has totally kind of blown that out of the water.
Wait, so there was actually more activity now compared to... Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think more people are using like the webhook and, you know, just tuning in for all the cool model and allied race guides and all that stuff. So, you know, thank you so much for all your continued support and spreading the word, you know, with people and guilds that maybe aren't, you know, checking Twitter and Discord all the time, but still want to know about stuff. You know, thank you for telling people to go check Wowhead and check out the front page to see what is new. And it's hilarious, like, Brightpaw is just sitting on the desk again, because he's like, yeah, like, Mommy did a great job with news. I'll just totally sit here and
now it's
look
my
really
turn.
Cute.
Yeah.
He's also doing so much better. He, I had to take him to the emergency room Friday morning, which was kind of remarkable that I have an awesome content team. They were able to keep posting alpha articles while I was dealing with a very sick cat. But he's now better, and people posted really cool articles while I was out, so... Thank you to the whole Wowhead team for, you know, picking up my slack and letting me have some time to take care of the cat.
If you were here before, so last week, Brightpaw had this, what's it called, that plastic thing?
Yeah, it's called like an E-collar, which is short for Elizabethan collar, like the very kind of like rough type thing.
Yeah, and he did not like it.
No.
Not at all. So it's nice to see that he's able to walk around without it now, so he's a bit more free.
Yeah, the doctor said he gave himself a gigantic anxiety attack that he couldn't get the collar off, so...
Yeah.
Nick took the collar off, no more vomiting, diarrhea, sadness. He's been fine since then.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, kitty update. Kitty update. Cone of shame, is that something that's usually used for it?
Yeah, because they look so sad, and it's like, oh, they're wearing this kind of like little dunce cap cone, and they can't...
Yeah.
So, no more cone of shame for him.
I also want to thank you all for you know, being patient with all the information that we brought in today. I want to thank you guys for supporting. I think there were a bunch of like new subscribers and resubscribers, but because of like the intense amount of information, it was really hard to be able to shout you guys out. But I did see most of them, I think. Thank you guys so much for that. We really appreciate it. You guys supporting Wowhead, it makes Wowhead be able to do the stuff that Wowhead does, and that's awesome. I also want to thank all the Wowhead premium users. I'll stick to premium. I think it sounds better, right, guys? All the Wowhead premium users. If you don't know what that is, it's a subscription on the Wowhead website for only $1 a month, where it makes it so that all the ads go away, and you also get a special color in the forums if you type stuff. And there's some other little perks as well.
Is shaking. The cat is hitting this.
Earthquake with cat, episode 1.
Yeah. He just like banged his butt up against the screen, so we just tilted it. So hopefully my camera still looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine.
All right.
Yeah, Wowhead subscription and general supporting. Thank you guys. Any followers, any people who've been watching today and going along with everything that we did today, for people who were interested enough to ask questions, any kind of like integration, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Yep. And just, you know, thanks again for all the support. You know, we've been working really hard trying to get you guides, news, interesting model viewer tools. So we really appreciate everyone sharing it, whether you're making like a funny meme for Reddit or, you know, linking the cool spell changes to your guildies. You know, just thank you so much for supporting the site. We've been working a lot, and just seeing the support, you know, makes us feel very warm and fuzzy and makes it worth it.
Someone mentions and gold name in Discord. Is that true?
Oh yeah, you get a special color in Discord if you subscribe to Wowhead, and if you become a premium user, and we have like 50,000 users currently in Wowhead, so you get to the top of the list with a cool
Ooh.
gold title if you know, you're a premium user or a Twitch subscriber. Both work.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Both work. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, so that's another way of another perk out there. Like I said, there's more perks than the ones we mentioned. I just tried to keep it short to give like an overview. Yeah, well, I think that wraps everything up, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys again next week. Regular time. I was gonna say same time, but that's not true since it was a bit delayed today.
Yeah, we're gonna try really hard to start up the notes super early in case there's an avalanche of you know, images again.
Yeah, like we started earlier than we would normally, or at least in terms of like putting things up in OBS and get it set up, and it still was not enough time. Like it was absolutely crazy. Yeah. And there was even more stuff that happened as I was doing these preparations, and we're like, okay, well, either we decide to delay the show further, or we go ahead with this, and whatever extra, we take it next week.
I am going to be on I was okay, we have to hurry this up because I'm going to be on a guest on Pwnecast tonight. So if you want me to discuss Alpha again, tune in at 8 p.m. Pacific. So I was like, okay, we have to do Wowhead Weekly because I need a break from talking and you know, doing stuff to eat some dinner. Cause,
of course.
Alpha's really
where is that, by the way, if people do want to watch that?
Let me pull that up right now. Sorry, my screen might flash bright because I don't have the black background.
Yeah,
I have
no worries. But yeah, maybe we can get a link for that in the chat as well, if in case anyone's interested as well. But yeah, so
okay, let's see. I'll link it to you. Maybe I can link it to you. So it's there's the cat. Hello, cat. So yeah, it's just Twitch TV/PWNCAST, and it's live 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yep.
Well,
so
that's it from us. Yeah. Well, bye-bye, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you guys next week at... Okay, so many time zones again.
2 p.m. Pacific.
2 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. European time. What is it in Eastern time?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Gotcha. There it is. I should probably write that down. Yeah. Bye-bye, guys. We will see you guys next week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Bye.